আসসালামু আলাইকুম অ্যান্ড ভেরি গুড ইভিনিং। যুক্তরাজ্য সহ পৃথিবীর যে যেখানে বসে এনটিভি ইউরোপের রেগুলার প্রোগ্রাম কমিউনিটি ম্যাটার্স দেখছেন, আপনাদের সবাইকে শুভেচ্ছা সহ স্বাগতম। বরাবরের মতো আজকেও আপনাদের সাথে আছি আমি আদনান পাভেল। আপনারা যারা রেগুলারলি কমিউনিটি ম্যাটার্স দেখেন আপনারা জানেন কমিউনিটি ম্যাটার্স আপনাদের অনুষ্ঠান, আপনাদের নিয়ে অনুষ্ঠান। আমরা সবসময় চেষ্টা করি এই অনুষ্ঠানে এমন সব টপিকে কথা বলতে যা কিনা ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটি বা বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটির উপর প্রভাব ফেলছে বা অদূর ভবিষ্যতে প্রভাব ফেলতে পারে। আজও তার ব্যতিক্রম নয়। আজকে আমরা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট একটা টপিকে কথা বলবো। আমরা করোনা ভাইরাসের রিসেন্ট যে আপডেট তা জানার চেষ্টা করব, অ্যান্ড অলসো দ্য সেম টাইম গভর্নমেন্ট যে ভ্যাকসিনেশন প্রোগ্রামটা চালু করেছে এই ভ্যাকসিনেশন প্রোগ্রাম নিয়ে আপনাদের সাথে আমরা কথা বলার চেষ্টা করব। এবং অ্যাজ অলওয়েজ উই ট্রাই টু ব্রিং expert to our talk show. Today is not an exception. Today we are having two very senior political figures from conservative parties. Today we are not having any political debate or discussion. Today we are here more to discuss how we can collectively overcome the difficult situation that we are having right now, and how we can overcome it collectively, what is our responsibility, what we can do from our end. So I am very honored to have Mr. Sean Bailey, who is member of London Assembly. I am also very delighted to have Councillor David Howard Barlin. He is deputy leader of the Conservative Party of Redbridge. So thank you both of you for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. I hope wherever you are staying well and safe. You and your family members are doing okay, and I know your schedule is really busy, so we do appreciate your time. As mentioned before, today we are not having any political discussion or debate. We know that we are going through a very difficult time, an unprecedented time, not just in the UK, all across the world. Today we will discuss the positivity, the good news, and collectively what we need to do as a society, as a community, as a country to build the resilience so that we can come out of better from this situation. So if I may start with you, Mr. Sean Bailey, member of London Assembly. Sean, thank you so very much once again for joining us today. Sean, we know that the government has already, UK was the first country to start the coronavirus vaccination, for which we are very proud. National Health Service and its staffs, they are doing an incredibly important job. We know that the government is trying to follow all the scientific advices. We know that the vaccination program has started all across the country. So what is your view on this vaccination program, and what would be your recommendation going forward to make this vaccination program successful, not just in the London but all across the UK? Mr. Sean Bailey.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on. Evening to all your listeners as well. Of course, you're right. The government were the first in the world, the British government, the first in the world to certify a vaccine and start its rollout. To date, some 5 million people have been vaccinated. That's a good start for us. But when people say to me, what advice will I give to the government? I say three things. One, let's keep going. We have to keep going to make sure we get enough people vaccinated to make us safer, to keep our community safe. Two, keep the message going that people still have to stick to the rules. Hands, face, space, keep safe. And this is about keeping yourself, your family, and your community safe. It's a responsibility to us all, or for us all. And the third piece is that we must make sure we stop this spread of disinformation. The spread of disinformation is really affecting the communities. The black community, the Bangladeshi community, all kinds of communities are being affected by this, and we must stop this spread of false information.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Sean. You have highlighted a very, very important aspect, which is the misinformation, the fake news, the rumors. We have seen that by using the technology or social media, there are so many fake news, misinformation in regards to this vaccine. We know that the government and all political parties, the community leaders, business leader, the religious leaders, they are doing their bit. Even we, NTV, we are also trying to make that awareness so that people actively participate in this campaign to make this vaccination program a success. Councillor David Howard Barlin, Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party of Redbridge Conservative. If I may ask you the same question, that we know that people in London, particularly in east end of London, they have been disproportionately affected by this coronavirus pandemic. Unfortunately, one life lost is too many. So what would be your recommendation, and what is your view on that current vaccination program that the government is trying to champion? Mr. David Howard.
It's actually Howard Berlin.
Howard Berlin. Howard Berlin. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
I've never been called. I've been called lots of things, but I've never been called David.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Like I started by saying, Assalamu alaikum to everybody. I'm really proud to be British, particularly with regard our incredible vaccine. I've been following very closely the Sarah Gilbert team in Oxford University, and how that's been rolled out, and to get to the stage where it's been rolled out literally within 10 months, it is the most incredible achievement. The other thing that probably a lot of people aren't aware of, the Pfizer jab is absolutely brilliant. I mean, the technology behind that is incredible. But the British one, the AstraZeneca, it's for non-profit. And that is the key thing, because we have lots of people here from Bangladesh, families back home. And think of what we're doing, say for Bangladesh and India. The biggest production site in the world is Sarin, it's an Indian company. They're producing, we're licensing them, AstraZeneca. Bangladesh will be getting it I think next month, but they've ordered a vast amount. And the price is about £3 or £4, whereas the Pfizer one is about £25 to £30. But the other key thing is it's very easily to distribute, because it just needs a fridge, and that is so important. The Pfizer one is very difficult. I think yesterday I saw the figures, it was over 500,000. So the government, when the government came out with that incredible target, getting all the over 70s and vulnerable, I remember thinking, how are they going to do that? But actually, they're going to do it. Unless we have a lot of bad luck with, say, with weather or production, we're going to do that. So I'm really pleased with the Oxford vaccine, how that's developed.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Councillor Howard Berlin. Mr. Sean Bailey, if I come back to you, that we know that there are a number of criticism. We know that we are going through a very difficult time, and government is trying to do its level-based. Brexit in one hand, and then this pandemic on another hand. It is a very difficult time, and we know that there has been cross-party support for many of the government policies, for which I think the Conservative Party, Labour Party, Lib Dem, everyone, they are trying to support each other at this very difficult time. But there are criticism that to certain extent government is failing to fulfill the vaccination target for per week, which is 2 million, according to the scientific advice. Particularly in London, what would be your recommendation to fulfill those targets? And what differently the government can do to make this even a more successful campaign?
You're correct. Of course, there's been some criticism, because it's a very big task, an unprecedented task, never been done before. So I think the government's approach is correct, but of course you could always do things better. I think there's two main areas that we need to speed up in. One is the provision of the vaccine, just to make sure we have enough doses available for the NHS to distribute across the country and for people to be vaccinated. And two is to make sure we have enough centres and enough people are qualified to distribute the vaccine, to actually administer it. The big challenge, though, is for regional government. So here in London, there's a challenge for the Mayor of London. He needs to step up and help the vaccine be distributed across London. Of course, London is the single biggest region, 9 million people. So if the Mayor of London can figure out ways, and lots of people have tried to help him do things to spread its delivery across London, those tactics can be replicated in the rest of the country as well, because of course the large numbers. But as David had said, The government has done very well in most cases because this is an unprecedented time with a vaccine developed in record time, and now we have to distribute that vaccine. But the key thing is we also have to take up the use of that vaccine. If you're offered the opportunity to have the vaccine, you should go ahead and take it.
Thank you so very much. I think the last sentence was very powerful, that if you are advised by NHS that you should take this vaccine, you should definitely take it. Councillor Howard Berlin, if I come back to you, what are the pragmatic steps we need to follow to stop all the misinformation and rumor that we see on social media and other platforms in regards to the efficacy of this vaccine?
It's very difficult because people put things on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, and a lot of people believe it. If I could go back to your previous point on London and we're behind, but we may have started off a little bit behind. I was actually at the Excel Centre last Monday. It is a military operation. I think they could probably do one site, half a minute. If they had the staff there and the vaccine, they could probably do 500,000 or more a week. It is gigantic, and the army are running it. And I think the government have got absolutely spot on with that. So I think actually the numbers will catch up in London. I think you're always going to find regional variances when you come up with a mass program for vaccination. This has never been done before. So I think we're ahead of the game. And you mentioned Brexit. It's not looking great in the EU with the vaccination rolled out. They've got problems. And what we did, we gambled. Matt Hancock gambled in June by getting the right vaccines. We ordered 7 different ones. One of them failed. It's always going to happen. But the other 6 are on course, and 2 of them are running, Pfizer and the AstraZeneca one. And we actually have ordered 370 million doses. It's an incredible improvement.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Mr. Schonberry, if I come back to you regarding the question about misinformation and rumors spreading all across social media, what are the pragmatic steps, particularly the BME community can do to tackle this particular crisis about fake news, misinformation, about the efficacy of this vaccine?
Of course, you're right. There's been a huge amount of fake news around the virus, and it's mainly been pushed to our community, to the Bangladeshi community, the black community, through social media. These are people who, in my opinion, are attacking our communities directly, because if we don't take the vaccine, it means we will be the only place the virus can grow, so it will sweep through our communities again and then again and again. So it's a personal responsibility on us to take the vaccine to protect our own children and our own grandparents, etc., family, etc. The key thing is this. I say to anyone, polio, how do we get rid of polio? Through a vaccine. Vaccines work. They have worked for hundreds of years now, and we need this vaccine to get past this terrible COVID-19. So please don't believe those sources on the internet, and ask yourself, where did they get this information from? How comes the government has to prove that the vaccine works, but they don't have to prove that it doesn't work? It's a lie, and it's a lie that could cost lives in our community. I myself have brought my own mother, because my mother's in her 70s, she's asthmatic. I brought her to arrange for her vaccine to be administered. The same with my auntie Norma, who's at similar age and already taken her vaccine. I myself have taken it on myself to become a volunteer to vaccinate, because it's that important to our communities.
Thank you so very much, and I hope your mom and your aunt, they are doing fantastic. And everyone, as you mentioned earlier, that anyone, as we know, and for which we are very proud of National Health Service, that in this country people are treated based on their clinical necessity, not based on their financial or social means. So anyone who is called by NHS to take this vaccine, they should participate in this campaign more effectively, more proactively. We have a very important topic. Today we are trying to give you the latest update regarding coronavirus pandemic. Also at the same time, we are trying to focus government's latest campaign about vaccination. We know that Britain was the first country to start this vaccination program, and every day we can see more people are getting vaccinated, which is very good news. However, there are many concerns regarding the efficiency, how well government can do, what are the effective ways in regards to communication, in regards to reaching out to people. Also at the same time, as I mentioned before, that it is a very, very difficult time, a very unprecedented time. We can discuss, debate many things. However, as a country, as a community, we must help each other. We must have that resilience, and we need to come out of this situation much more better together. So today we are not having any political debate or discussion. Today we are having a very good conversation with two senior members from Conservative Party. We are very delighted to have both of them today, and they are giving relevant information and relevant advice and opinion to our viewers, our audience, so that collectively we can make this vaccination campaign a success. We can come out of this situation much more better and stronger. So I'm very delighted to introduce you once again to my guest. I have Mr. Sean Bailey, member of London Assembly. I also have Councillor Howard Berlin, who is Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party from London Borough of Redbridge. Thank you both of you for joining us today. Dear viewers, if you have any question, any concern, please do let us know. You can watch us on social media or via our website from anywhere in the world. And people, those who are in the UK, you can obviously watch us on Sky 780. As always, from NTV, we try our level best to uphold the standard. We always feel very proud to be British, and also at the same time, any good thing happening, we try to promote this. This vaccination campaign is very, very important. We know that everyone is suffering because of this coronavirus pandemic, either physically, mentally, economically, socially, but we need to do our responsibility. We need to perform our responsibility so that we can come out of this situation. From NTV, our senior management is doing everything possible to make the community aware so that we actively participate in this campaign, this vaccination campaign. Our Honorable CEO Sabrina Hussain actually very recently, she gave a message to the community so that everyone, particularly in ethnic minority community, everyone participate in this vaccination campaign. So before I go to my guests to have further conversation, may I show you that video message from our Honorable CEO Sabrina Hussain to make this vaccination campaign a success. Dear viewers, NTV CEO Sabrina Hussain.
Assalamu alaikum. আপনারা জানেন যুক্তরাজ্য সহ সমস্ত পৃথিবী জুড়ে আমরা আজকে এক ক্রান্তিকাল পার করছি। করোনা ভাইরাস প্যান্ডেমিক আমাদের স্বাভাবিক জীবন, চাকরি, ব্যবসা সহ সবকিছু ব্যাহত করছে। এই ভাইরাস বাংলাদেশি এবং এথনিক মাইনরিটিদের উপর বেশি প্রভাব ফেলছে। আশার ব্যাপার হচ্ছে ইতিমধ্যে যুক্তরাজ্য সহ অনেক দেশে ভ্যাকসিন কার্যক্রম শুরু হয়েছে। এই ভ্যাকসিন নিয়ে সামাজিক যোগাযোগ মাধ্যমে বিভিন্ন ধরনের মিসইনফরমেশন ছড়ানো হচ্ছে। আমি এনটিভি পক্ষ থেকে আপনাদের সকলকে অনুরোধ করব, দয়া করে কোনো মিসইনফরমেশনে কান না দিয়ে সরকারের নিয়ম মেনে এবং ন্যাশনাল হেলথ সার্ভিসের কথা মেনে আপনারা এই টিকা কার্যক্রম প্রক্রিয়ায় সক্রিয় ভূমিকা পালন করবেন। এবং এই বিপদের সময় আমাদের সবার উচিত যার যার স্থান থেকে সঠিক দায়িত্ব পালন করা। আমরা যেন এই বিপদ থেকে খুব তাড়াতাড়ি বের হয়ে আসতে পারি, এই দোয়া করছি।
Dear viewers, you are watching NTV's Honorable CEO Sabrina Hussain's message to the community so that we actively participate in this novel campaign of coronavirus vaccination. I will straight away I'll come to Mr. Sean Bailey, member of London Assembly. Mr. Sean Bailey, we know that Black, Asian and minority ethnic, they have been disproportionately affected by this coronavirus pandemic. And we know there are many underlying socio-economic and political issues behind it. And we know that all political parties are trying to address those. It is very important that the government and all political parties first have already recognized that this is a very, very important issue. And they have already started working around it. What would be your recommendation going forward so that in near future those underlying issues that actually because of what these people of BME community they were disproportionately affected, how those issues can be actually tackled going forward in long term, many socio-economic issues, many political issues, how those issues can be tackled. Mr. Sean Bailey.
That's a really good question. And for me, there's two big drivers. One is a social driver. What can we do with our own families and our communities? And what can the government do with policy and political development? So the first thing I'll say is we have to make sure that our children are educated properly, both socially and academically as well. And we must be a community, both the black community, the Bangladeshi community, every community that pushes its children to take the maximum benefit from the British education system so that our children can come out and have big qualifications and move into big jobs. On the political end, we must make sure we keep the pressure up on the government. Yes, I'm the Conservative candidate for Mayor of London, but it's my job to use that position to keep the pressure up on the government to make sure they provide us with good health, to make sure they provide us with adequate housing, to make sure that we're provided with all the things that our family needs to thrive. And one of the good things about the vaccine, is the way in which it was developed. Because of course it's halal. And the reason it was developed in that way is so that everybody can take it, no worry. It's meant that all religious leaders have endorsed the vaccine, be they Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, everybody has endorsed it. And that's just one small way that the government was able to show that it's a government for everybody. But of course, nothing is perfect, and it's up to the likes of me and community activists to keep it. And my major thing is this: we must do more to protect the public health. The reason that our communities have been affected the most is because we have the highest incidence of heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. These are chronic underlying health issues that the black and the Asian community suffer from, and we need to do more work to put those right.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Sean Bailey. Councillor Howard Berlin, you have been a local councillor for many years. We know that the government is trying its level best to support the local government, but do you think the support, the stimulus package that has been already laid out by the government, do you think that was enough to support the local businesses or the local community? If it is not enough, what more the government can do?
Okay, thank you. That's a really interesting question. Actually, I've only been a councillor since May 2018, so that's about 2.5 years. I would say that they have done an incredible amount to support small businesses. Nobody pays business rates. They've had 3 different grants to support small businesses. The self-employed, there's been 3 grants there to help them. So there's been massive support. Also, whilst the shops have been closed, again, more financial assistance. So they have done a great deal. And of course, all this money, it is borrowed money. I think we're in for about £280 billion. But the other thing, and this is a big difference between this financial crisis and the financial crisis of 2007-2008. Under the Blair Brown government, if you lost your job, there was nowhere to go. Repossessions were at the highest level. And this government came up with a real idea. It hasn't even cost any money. They've borrowed the money at literally negative interest rates, lent it to the banks and building societies, and granted people who own their homes and have mortgage holidays. It's a really clever idea, and it's really worked. And there's virtually no foreclosures anymore, and that's completely at odds with what happened in 2007-2008 financial crisis. And these are really important things. Look, the other thing that's really worked really well, and it was criticised a lot by the Labour Party in the 2019 election, was universal credit. I mean, it really has come into place, and it's an area where people who hit bad times through no fault of their own, the state is there to help them. So the government, I think, has done really well.
Thank you very much. you have mentioned many of the good policies of the government. We also know that there are a number of criticism of the government recent policies as well. As mentioned, we are not going to that political debate. Rather, we are trying to focus all the good thing and how we can actually come out of this situation more stronger as a community, how we can build more resilience going forward. But thank you so very much for highlighting those issues. Mr. Schonbel, if I come back to you, we know that this Brexit will definitely impact London. What would be your recommendation going forward? Particularly how London administration would be able to mitigate the negative impact of Brexit? We know that particularly the financial sector is mainly based in London, and that accounts about 75% of the British economy. Going forward, what would be your recommendation to mitigate the negative impact of Brexit on London?
There's two things I say. The finance community for London is very, very important. It's a very big part of our economy here in London. It's not quite 75% of the UK economy, but it's certainly a big chunk. And you're right, there's certainly challenges that the government will have to rise to. And I think the first question they'll have to answer for the financial services is to make sure there's some kind of passporting. And what that means is that businesses that are based here that do financial work can work in Europe without too many tariffs and too many extra charges. That's the big challenge, and the government are facing that down, and they're coming to an agreement with Europe. Because of course, Europe would lose if we lose as well. Nobody wins if that situation turns out horribly. But the other piece is more positive. The Trade Secretary, Liz Truss, has signed over 30 trade deals with other countries around the world. And this is actually a big opportunity, not only for Britain, but for countries like Bangladesh as well, because we will have a bilateral trade agreement between us, which means we can trade openly. And one of the great bits of our relationship with Bangladesh is just how business ready Bangladesh is, a very vibrant, very fast growing financial situation that Britain will then be part of and help to grow even faster. So mutual benefit there. But let's not be naive. There is a challenge for Brexit, but I think the government are off to a flying start. The city are still nervous about the outcome, but I believe that the outcome will be correct. And I think the job for people like me who are budding mayors is to make sure that the city has a place at the table and can tell the Chancellor directly what they need, and make sure that I help them help the Chancellor do the right thing for the city. But at this point, Brexit will still be a benefit to the country in my eyes. I mean, just look what's happened with the virus and the vaccine. We were the first country in the world to deliver that, and that's because we didn't follow the European model. It's because we went our own way, and now our communities, yours and mine, are benefiting directly from that independence and that flexibility.
Thank you very much. Councillor Howard Berlin, you are based in Redbridge Council. If someone watching this program from Redbridge, if they want to seek some help from the council, how would they do that? Is there enough information on the council website? How do they seek all those information, facts and figures, particularly in regards to coronavirus pandemic? Very quickly, we need to go for a break.
Yeah, sure. There's two things that we can do. Firstly, Redbridge Council have been very proactive here with information, and we've gone to the Redbridge website, redbridge.gov.uk. Lots of information there, but of course you can always go to your local councillors. I'm in Fairlock. If I can give Councillor Ruth Clark and Councillor Joyce Ryan a little plug, you can contact us or go to any councillor. They'll get information for you.
Thank you.
You're on the website.
Thank you so very much. We are talking about the recent update about coronavirus pandemic. We are mainly trying to highlight the vaccination program and how we can together, what would be our responsibility to make this campaign a great success. As you know that not just in the UK, all across the world, we are going through a very difficult time. We are having unprecedented time. Every now and then, once we switch on our television, once we start reading newspaper, we can see there are many negative news regarding coronavirus pandemic. Every now and then, our near and dear ones, they have been affected by coronavirus pandemic. So it is very important for us to follow government rules and regulation. It is very important for us to follow National Health Service rules and regulation. Also at the same time, we as a community, what we can do at this difficult time, I think it is very, very important. So today's program is about helping each other and making this vaccination program a success. Today, we are not having any political discussion or debate. we are trying to have that discussion where we can do our bit, how we can help each other, how we can make this campaign a much more efficient, a successful campaign. And I'm very delighted to have two senior members from Conservative Party. I have Mr. Sean Bailey, member of London Assembly. I also have Councillor Howard Berlin, Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party from London Borough of Redbridge. So thank you so very much for joining us today. Dear viewers, if you have any question, any concern, please do let us know. Our time is very limited, but we always try to address your concern or your question. Mr. Sean Bailey, if I come back to you, we know that the government is trying its level best, as mentioned previously, that it is a very difficult time. The government is facing number of challenges from Brexit, from this coronavirus pandemic, and many other ongoing issues. There are certain areas that the government has done really well. There are certain areas the government could have done really well. If you can kindly highlight us, Mr. Sean Bailey, if you can kindly highlight us, what are the areas you think the government has done really well, and what are the areas the government could have done better? Mr. Sean Bailey.
Again, a really excellent question. And of course, on some areas, the government have found it tougher than others. For instance, if any of your viewers own a business, they'll be very aware that they need some certainty. So things like the business rates holiday, I think business need to know how long is that going to last? Will it be extended, or when will it end? I think that's really, really, really important, because the ability for a business to plan is key if we're going to reduce unemployment. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the vaccination program and dealing with corona in general, I think the government needed to be a bit harder on local government. Lots of local governments at a council level have done very well, but sometimes at a regional level, so mayors and assemblies, they've asked for lots of money, and the government hasn't said, well, what's that money for? Demonstrate to us that the money you're asking for is correct. Because if they did that, then they may be able to provide more money. But I think there's been a lot of politicizing of the issue, and I think the government should be stronger in saying this isn't politics, this is the health of the country. Mm-hmm. I think the other point I'd say, and this is a plea really, we need to have more of a conversation about personal responsibility. Are we breaking the rules? Are we helping people keep safe? These things I think need to be spoken about more, because as much as the government has done very well with things like furlough, first in the world with a vaccine, much financial support for lots of different sectors, it all comes down to, do we stick to the rules? Do we keep our families safe? And I'd say to everybody, remember, the vaccine is supported by all of our religious and community leaders. It's about keeping your family, my family, all families safe. And actually the government is relying on us to do the right thing. We're not relying on the government.
Thank you.
Please do get involved in vaccination and keep your family safe.
Thank you so very much. We have Mr. Abdul Haq Habib online. Mr. Abdul Haq Habib is a very well-known businessman and a senior community leader. If Mr. Abdul Haq Habib, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you so very much. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so very much for watching NTV, and thank you for your phone call. We have two senior members from Conservative Party. If you have any question or concern, please do let us know.
Yes, of course, Adnan bhai, thank you very much. This is a very, very important program you are doing, and I think very timely program as well. So thank you to NTV and thank you to you as well. I just wanted to share one of my personal family experience today to create more awareness, and I will, if you don't mind, I will say that in Bengali.
Please do.
আজকে আদনান ভাই, আমার আম্মার বয়স 70 বছরের উপরে আর কি। তো তার এক সপ্তাহ আগে একটা সিটি আইছে, যে সিটি তার রেখো হইছে যে ভ্যাকসিনেশন দেওয়ার লাগি তাই একটা অ্যাপয়েন্টমেন্ট করতা। আমরা ইমিডিয়েটলি অনলাইন গিয়া একটা অ্যাপয়েন্টমেন্ট করছি, যেটা অনেক অপশন আছিল। আর আমি আজকে আমি নিজে তার লইয়া যাওয়ার চিন্তা করছিলাম। আজকে ইমিডিয়েটলি তারা সকালে একটা অ্যাপয়েন্টমেন্ট দিলাইছে। তাহলে আমি লইয়া গেছি এক্সেল সেন্টারও, আপনারা সবাই জানেন এক্সেল সেন্টার ইন নিউয়াম। ওখানেও আমরা সকালে গেছি 10:30টার সময় গিয়ে আলহামদুলিল্লাহ তার ভ্যাকসিনটা দেওয়া হয়েছে। And my mom is very happy.
Alhamdulillah.
And খুব খুশি হইয়া in a very motivated way, very proactively tiny vaccine টা নিছেন, কোভিড ভ্যাকসিন। তা আমি এখানে আসলে বেশ কয়েকজন স্টাফের লোকে বাই দ্য ওয়ে আলাপ করাতেছিলাম। আমার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স এটা দেখলাম আদনান ভাই, যে এখানে অনেক মানুষ, বেশিরভাগ দেখলাম কিন্তু সাদা মানুষ, ইউরোপিয়ান মানুষ, ওদেশি মানুষ, কিন্তু আমরা কমিউনিটির মানুষ খুবই কম দেখলাম।
রাইট।
আমি স্টাফের লোকে মাতলাম, তারা এমনিও মাতিয়ে বাইরে হয়ে যে এথনিক নিউহাম তো এখানে তো বেশিরভাগ এথনিক মাইনরিটি এই এরিয়ার, তো তারা বললো ইয়েস উই আর ভেরি সারপ্রাইজড এজ ওয়েল, আমরা এথনিক মাইনরিটি মানুষ কম্পারেটিভলি খুব কম দেখি। আর স্টাফেও 2-3 জন স্টাফ এই কমেন্টটা করলো আর কি। So what I thought is that I just wanted to use this opportunity tonight, because you're doing a fantastic program.
Thank you.
To create awareness. It is very, very important যে আমরা বিশেষ করে আমরা মুরব্বী যারা আছেন, আমরা আম্মা বা চাচা চাচি যারাও আছেন, আমরা ইয়াং জেনারেশন যারা আছি, যারা তারা লুক আফটার করিয়া, ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট আসলে এই সিটিটা আমরা দেখিয়া ইমিডিয়েটলি একটা বুকিং করিয়া তার ভ্যাকসিনটা দেওয়াটা দরকার।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
এটা কোনো ডিলে করাটা মোটেও উচিত হইতো না আসলে। সো আই জাস্ট ওয়ান্টেড টু শেয়ার গুড নিউজ that my mom had the vaccination today, and I would like to, encourage everyone in the community. If as soon as they receive a letter to do the vaccination, please go ahead and book a test and do it straight away. Vaccination center কিন্তু আপনার ভাই সব জায়গায় আছে, very close to our houses basically. So it's everywhere. So the government is doing a fantastic job by placing those vaccination centers everywhere basically. So please go ahead, book an appointment and do the vaccination for your loved one.
Thank you, Habib bhai. Thank you so very much. We had Mr. Abdul Haq Habib, who is a senior businessman and a senior community leader. He has shared his personal experience that his mother has been vaccinated today. She is feeling fantastic, and she has encouraged through her son, Mr. Abdul Haq Habib, that everyone should participate in this campaign. Mr. Abdul Haq Habib hasn't seen many people from ethnic minority today, particularly from BME community. So he has encouraged everyone from his own personal experience, so that everyone, particularly from ethnic minority, if you receive a letter from National Health Service, please do register yourself. Please do register yourself and do participate in this fantastic campaign. Get vaccinated, save yourself, save your family, save your community. Habib bhai, thank you so very much once again for sharing this experience with us, and I'm sure many people will be motivated from your phone call, from your own personal experience through your mother. Thank you so very much. Next caller, assalamu alaikum. Caller, assalamu alaikum. We can hear you. Caller.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Good evening.
I can hear you very well. Assalamu alaikum. If you can kindly tell me your name and what is your question, sir?
Gilan.
Sorry, I can hear you, sir.
Gilan.
Hello.
Hello.
I can hear you very well. What is your question, sir? If you can kindly tell me your name and your question, please.
Sorry, my name is Gilan.
Yes, sir. Okay, what is your question, sir?
And the question is for Howard. I am resident in Redbridge, and we have the COVID bus that drives around Redbridge, and I just want Councillor David Howard to tell me about the bus and what it is doing for Redbridge.
Thank you so very much. Thank you very much. Next caller, assalamu alaikum. If you can kindly tell me your name, your location, and if you can kindly ask your question. Caller, assalamu alaikum. Next caller.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. We can hear you very well. If you can kindly tell me your name and your question, please.
ভাই আমার নাম সালমা পারভিন, আমি টাওয়ার হামনেসো আফাসিন সাথে কাজ করি। তো আমি একজন কেয়ারার। আমি গত সপ্তাহে ভ্যাকসিনটা আমি দিয়েছি, এবং আমি বলতাম ছিলাম আমার কমিউনিটি ভাই বোন এবং আমার ওল্ডার যারা আছেন সবাইকে যে এটা দেওয়াটা সবার দরকার। আর আমরা এটা কোনো মানে আমার নিজে থেকে আমি বলছি ভাইয়া যে কোনো রিঅ্যাকশনটা আমি এখনো পাই না। যেদিন দিয়েছি সেদিনও কাজে গিয়েছি, তারপর প্রতিদিনই কাজে যাচ্ছি, আমার কোনো সমস্যা হচ্ছে না।
থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ। আপনি সালমা আপা বলছিলেন, তাই তো? সালমা আপা,
হ্যাঁ আমার নাম
Thank you.
সালমা।
Salma Appa, thank you so very much for your question. Salma Appa, she works for one of the local organization as a carer. She personally, she has taken this vaccine, and she has mentioned, she has emphasized that other people should participate in this vaccination campaign as well. People should avoid all the rumor and misinformation, and they should participate in this noble campaign of vaccination. Salma Appa, thank you for sharing your experience. Councillor Howard Berlin, one gentleman from Redbridge, he has asked about COVID bus. If you can kindly address his concern, please.
I actually don't have a great deal of details on the COVID bus, but what I can tell you is that there are 3 testing stations in Redbridge, Mardno Car Park in Ilford Town Centre, Charteris Road Car Park, and there's one at Gants Hill Library. And there's also 3 of these like 30-minute testing centres. We get your results very, very quickly. And they're in Hainault Library, and there's one at Redbridge Library, and there's another one in Wanstead. So we've been very, very proactive in getting out the information, the testing.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you. We have very limited time, so I will straight away I'll come to Mr. Sean Bailey, member of London Assembly. Mr. Sean Bailey, as you have seen from the concern of the callers, that they want more people from the BME community, if they are called by the NHS, they should participate, avoiding all the misinformation. We know that the religious institution, the community leaders, they can play a big role to make this campaign a success. What would be your recommendation for all the religious leader, for the community leaders and the community organization to make this campaign a great success by making people more aware, by providing right information, by encouraging people? What would be your message to them, to those leaders?
Assalamu alaikum would be my message to anybody who is an imam, anybody who's influential in our communities now, is to you go on WhatsApp. You know the groups that are talking. You talk to people all the time because you're a big part of your community. You go on. You give the assurance. You tell them of your experience. You tell them of your concern for our community. I've been speaking to people in the black community who are beginning to feel like we're being targeted with misinformation. Now, if that's true or not, both the Bangladesh and the black community had a lot of misinformation. The only way to combat it is for real information, good people to go out and give their experience.
Thank you.
That's why your 2 callers were very much welcome, because they're real people who live in the community who are given a great experience of what's going on.
Thank you very much. If I may ask the same question to Councillor Howard Berlin, what would be your recommendation to the religious leaders and community leaders to make this campaign a great success by making people more aware, by motivating more people?
What they have to do is to get the message across to the communities that it's the right thing to take the vaccine when it's on offer, because we're not going to get out of this problem unless everybody works together and has the vaccine. The Pfizer vaccine, the misinformation about that one we've seen recently is horrendous. It's 89% success rate, immunity rate after 21 days. What a lot of people probably don't know, and this is from the regulator, if you were to have the second dose after 19 days, the recommendation from the regulator is you need to have a 3rd dose. So that indicates you probably need to have it a little bit further out. And, I don't see any issues with 6 or 12 weeks out.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, both of you. We are running out of time, but I really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm sure, and not just myself, my audiences, they got many messages, many information, many recommendations from both of you. Thank you so very much for your time today. Dear viewers, as mentioned at the very beginning of the program, today we are not having any political discussion or debate. Today we had 2 senior politicians so that they can actually give their message and information in front of you to make people much more aware, make people much more responsible, make this campaign, this noble campaign of vaccination a great success. In near future, we will have other senior politicians from other political parties, and then other community leaders, businessmen, will also discuss how we can make this program, how we can make this vaccination campaign a great success. Wherever you are, do stay well. follow government's advice, maintain social distancing, maintain government rules and regulation, and if you are asked by National Health Service to participate in this vaccination, do register, do participate, and encourage others to do so. Please try to avoid all sort of misinformation. We need to help each other, and I am sure together we will thrive. Together we will progress. So do stay well. Thank you so very much. Keep watching NTV. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.